Okay. Okay, I guess we'll just have the standard agenda. Let's see, can we go over the minutes from last month? I don't know, can we, if Eleanor's not here?
Well, we
Well, she-
have.
We have them.
Okay,
Do you have them?
yeah, I do. We'll have to get back to something else here. I'll have to open the computer again, so anything can happen. Does anybody have any comments?
Well, yeah, I guess I did. Oh, no, mine's number 8. That public fee. Never mind, I'll get to the end.
Okay,
Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from last month.
Second.
Second, yeah.
Diana, on the motion, on the motion, on the motion?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. How about treasurer's report?
Alrighty. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning. So in our general fund, we're up to 44,000 last month, and that was simply because we had a 3 payroll period. So we always see a big jump. Those couple of months come through that we appraise as usual too. We are at expended 54% for the first 7 months of the period, which is about 58%. So in total, we are within our budget. Under grants, the payment going out under grants, and there's the detail on the second page, represents payroll for Katie, the new receptionist. Who is great, we have her. Oh, there is a reconciling item down at the bottom of 13,315. We're following up with Michelle, but for some reason they booked it again last month, the carryover. It should just be 13,315. So we'll find out about that. Revolving fund, we're continue to show a positive $4,574 year to date between the receipts and the expenses out. Meg's still continuing to monitor that and get the cutoff. We're working on the cutoff of that, and we're reconciling that to my senior center, which is a big job. Gift receipts, we picked up 6,320 in gifts. 1,000 of that was the Paul Petroselli donation, which comes in periodically, and 5,000 in social worker. It's miscellaneous other. Expenditures out are primarily for social worker, typical of every month. Capital projects, the 56,914 that went out is the invoice that Bob talked about last meeting for the Ford truck or van, whatever we call it. Any questions or comments?
We in good shape?
Yep, we're
So-
total within our budget on the appropriation account.
All right, good.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have the director's report.
Good morning. We have our transportation update. We had 21 riders that took 267 rides. Do you need a copy? No.
I thought I had one. There we are.
Any more?
Oh.
Everybody else okay?
We had 209 that were miscellaneous, 58 were medical, 31 rides in the electric car by 9 riders. And then Chief Celia, if you want to give an update, if you don't mind, on other happenings.
As far as what's going on with the transportation pieces, the big one is we still have not heard back from the vendor in regards to a possible delivery date of the new van. So once we do receive that, it's gonna still be approximately 6 to 8 weeks out to have it converted over to our use. So I'm still looking at probably May. I'm thinking that hopefully, if Ford will finally step up and give us a delivery date, that's where that'll stand. As far as the equipment, everything is running the way it's supposed to. Maintenance continues. We've been using, in fact, the bus is headed down, or at the 3,000-mile mark, we have to rotate the tires. And we're gonna go take that down to the repair shop in North Situate that we use, in Wilder Brothers. So they'll be taking care of that and fixing the one window alarm that was defective on that bus and has been since we bought it. So that's gonna get replaced and everything will be up and running without any problems at all. So other than snow removal today, we're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we had mentioned last weekend that Trisha was going to come in to talk at the beginning of the weekend, but she apologized for today and she said she would come in March. And she hopes everyone understands. And then the next update is the Sweet 16 Friends Cafe. Karen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you're here. If you're willing to share with you.
Certainly. We had our Sweet 16 this past the 27th of January, pancake breakfast. Thank you very much to Jim and Dan and Liz. We had I don't know what the final number was of people who attended. Meg, do you know? Well, it was a lot.
Close to 70.
Yeah, which was, we initially, I think, told Jim it was 45 or so. So he really scrambled. It's
You
like,
should have seen me in the back hall shoveling flour into a bowl as fast as I could to make them a pancake. Like a Lucille Ball episode.
yeah, too bad we didn't video that. That would have been a good one. But anyway, everybody was thrilled. At least, the friends were thrilled that we had such a great outpouring. And I personally did not know the scramble that was going on in the kitchen. So anyway, we much appreciated, Jim. We also had an article in the Stroll magazine that we appreciate. And as far as Beth, do you have anything? Is she there? I can't see in the distance there. There you are. Do you have anything that you would like to voice on the friends that you see?
No, we just have a happy Monday morning every week, and the volunteers as well as the people that come have the coffee and the treats, we all enjoy seeing each other and look forward to it.
Absolutely. So the one thing that as far as say monthly expense for us other than cafe food, we certainly get our home baked goods from our bakers. But the other thing that we expend monthly is the expense for the birthday cards. When I first started sending those out, stamps were 42 cents. And now they're like almost 8. But it's really, they're really, I personally think that they're so well loved to have a piece of mail that's handwritten, but not by me anymore. They're done by Liz and Mary Kay. And having it's like a gift in the mailbox. We've always thought that way. So we continue with handwriting the postcard, the beautiful, I think, cards that have a photograph of town somewhere, whether it's the harbor or the beach or we can now include the red barn on on the Gulf, since that iconic picture is now history. Anyway, so we continue to do that, and I think that is truly a hand reaching out to the seniors in town.
Right. Thank you.
You're really right about that handwritten thing, Karen, because I've watched Liz do this at the dining room table for hours, and I'm thinking, this is dumb. This is so old fashioned, writing these things out instead of putting a printed sticker on there. And yet what a difference it looks like when something comes in the mail that, you know, somebody wrote out by
Right.
hand.
It's good in the garbage, yeah.
It has an effect, and I think it's a smart thing to do to make that thing more effective.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, over the years, certainly it was suggested that we do printed mailing labels and just downloading. But I think it loses so much feeling in just
Yeah.
the envelope alone.
You're right.
Anyway, and then they get a little gift in there with a coupon for cafe. So it's, I think, multifaceted there.
Well, you've seen the
Very
result
nice.
with donations and things like that, that people respond with. They let you know with their checkbook how they feel about it, as well
Right.
as other ways.
So so in all the years, I will tell you one funny anecdote about the birthday cards. In all the years that we've been doing them, we've only had one instance where Patty came in to me and said, this person does not want to be getting any more birthday cards. And I was like, wow, really? So anyway, we had to, honor. I hope we just remember next year not to send it. But anyway, I mean, really?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty amazing response to someone who doesn't want to know how old they are.
Sometimes she's just having a bad day. I mean,
Yeah, true. But anyway, only Patty, yeah. So that was kind of a humorous response. Anyway,
Oh.
that's our story so far.
thank you, Karen.
Good
Thank
story.
you.
I brought your magazine down. You looked like a celebrity to cafe this morning.
Meg, I don't, Mary Kay and I were very upset that they didn't use the great photograph we had in the living room of everyone. That was the whole point of the article, is to let everybody know about the friends and coming to the cafe. So anyway, that was unfortunate. We thought.
Yours wasn't a bad choice either.
Yeah, it was a
you.
beautiful-
And we're happy to put any additional information or pictures up on our site too. So just know that.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I think we should use the group photograph.
Great. I will follow up with you on that.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the cafe? All right, we have a new hearing service update. We're gonna have monthly hearing screens the first Wednesday of every month from 10 to 12 in the nurse's office. And it'll be at home hearing. A man named Michael who reached out and said they're willing to do that. So I think that's a good opportunity. They're a
Really
15-minute
nice.
appointment.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's free. And if there's something that's identified in that screen, then they'll have you make a follow-up appointment. But
That's good.
Great idea.
Paul and I went to capital budget recently. If you're
All
willing
the
to
fun.
speak to that at all, Paul?
Yeah, so the meeting was on Zoom, and it went extremely well, primarily because Meg had prepared in advance a spreadsheet with a 10-year plan that they had requested. And it was very detail oriented, so they could clearly understand where we are here at Elder Affairs. The one thing that is unique this year is that for the first time, we're being asked to provide a 10-year capital budget plan for the entire facility. Not the Department of Elder Affairs. So for the last, 20 years or so, we go in front of capital budget, and it's usually for things like, a coat rack or, a van or, some other piece of furniture or something that we need for the senior programming. So we had to go back and, you know, get a hold of some folks that originally built the facility. I had the town paid for a report, that I had a copy of before they accepted the building, which listed a lot of the items, like the roof and the siding, you know, warranties. Glenn Pratt happened to have a lot of the warranties, for all of the kitchen items. And of course, we all know about the HVAC system is being replaced. So, so it was very comprehensive in that aspect, and I think that you know, it's something that we'll probably want to meet with the town manager over once, you know, that the annual meeting is done, because we're not subject matter expertise in capital equipment for everything that's here. You know, we're basically a homeowner. You know, when something goes wrong, you call the plumber. When something goes wrong, you call the electrician. But now we're being asked to do that, which we've never done that before. So we just want to take a look at how we're going to approach it, and then, you know, who's going to be designated to keep an eye on some of these things and understand, you know, the warranty and the use and care of these items, preventive maintenance, all of that stuff. So it's very similar to what we're doing with the vans, you know, where we got a state grant for the van. They require these forms to be filled out and sent in, which is basically preventive maintenance and maintenance of the vehicle. So we're going to have to do something similar at some point with the equipment of the facility, so we can understand what's been repaired and replaced and what hasn't. So that's something that we should all think about, you know, probably in the June timeframe, maybe July, to get an understanding of how we want to gauge that stuff. We can't wait till something breaks and then say, hey, we need a new stove. So that's kind of where we are right now. During the meeting, there's two things that were on the fiscal 26 budget. One was replacing the gas stove, which is needed to be replaced. It was used when it was put in. It has a 10-year life cycle, and it's been 10 years. So it's not a surprise that it isn't working very well. So that was the primary push for us at capital budget, was to get that replaced. The other item that was on there were the outdoor security camera system that we had talked about. And this is something that has been in the public discussion for other facilities around town. So their approach to that was to take a more global look at security camera systems for the town in general before they go ahead and start, you know, mounting them randomly around town based on budget surplus. I did make an offer for us to be a beta site for them. Since we already have our system in-house, it wouldn't be a hardship to put it on the outside of our facility. And I did mention to them that our request on the $11,000 is only about 2 to 5% of the budget for what they're putting in place on security systems throughout the town. So it would be a very small amount of money for the town to do, and then see how it goes with elder affairs, so they can have some lessons learned before they start putting them on all the other buildings in town. So they decided that they were going to wait and see on that before they make any final decisions. So our primary goal was just to focus on getting the stove in the kitchen. Any questions on anything? Karen, you're on mute.
Did they give you a time frame on that new stove?
So, well, the approval for spending would have to come, I would think, first or second week of March to see if we're approved in capital budget. And then if so, money gets to be spent technically July 1. But I don't know. I suspect we can order it and kind of get it rolling before then. But Meg, do you know when stove would be, was
Yeah.
it a 5-week delivery kind of thing, or?
Yep, pretty quick turnaround, about 4 to 5 weeks.
And then who is doing the research on that stove?
I worked with Nick in facilities for a lot of the looking through the warranties, looking at the vendor, costing it out, and then costing out install as well.
And what about the well, does the what it offers as far as we're just going to go with the same whatever
The make and model, yeah, we, so the one that we have is fairly old, so this one is supposed to be a little more intuitive. I know that the one that we pull the burners are out, there's been issues with the pilot light. This one is new, so it has additional safety features, if you will, that the other one doesn't have. So we still have a little time to visit what's there, because what was the amount that was on the budget for that?
The cost of the stove was 19, with install was 25.
5,000. So we have time to, get some input from some folks. We get approved, it'll be for $25,000 to install a stove, so we can work on selecting a vendor if we feel that the one that was selected isn't going to suit the needs of the center.
well, like someone like Jim or Dan or Joan, someone who uses the stove and oven?
This is what I kind of brought up at the beginning of my spiel, is that, this is kind of the first time we're being asked to take care of our own house. So we're going to have some
Jill
folks
looked at it, Karen.
in the area take, some subject matter experts, if you will, that use it, and folks that are familiar with warranties and preventive maintenance and care on it, and decide who and how we're going to go about assessing the equipment.
Okay.
So
We're
first,
always so afraid to turn it on every Monday morning because we have to, boil eggs or, heat something up. And it is the propane is, not the gas is scary.
it's a little intimidating. It is definitely intimidating for sure. So we can certainly take a look at that, and I think that what maybe for improvement would be that there is a specific training for folks in the kitchen on certain pieces of equipment, and we'll know who's been trained and who wasn't trained. That way we'll have someone that you can rely on to say, hey, does anyone know anything about this? Whether it be the stove or any other piece of equipment that we have. So it's probably a good idea. I remember when we were building the senior center here, I reached out to a couple of the other senior centers in the South Shore, and they did have policies and procedures for people in the kitchen, people in different areas of their facility. So a lot of senior centers do have procedures on how to do something. And then when you have a procedure, you would train people to that procedure so they would know what to do. So I think it would be a good idea to find out who uses it, and the decision as to how many people we'd like to train, and then train them on how to use it. And then preventive maintenance is a big part of it. At the end of the day, I thought you did. So, so we got to figure all that out.
Well, right now it's who's ever brave enough.
Yes,
So that's not the way to be cooking, I guess.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So as I mentioned, this is something that we can do. We can set up a little subcommittee to take a look at some policies and procedures on commercial kitchen use, and come up with a form where people sign saying they were trained, and have a couple of safety classes. Even the fire department can come down and talk to us about, if you smell gas or if you don't smell gas, or you should smell gas because it's on, you know, and what not to panic over. So things like that would be helpful.
Okay.
I have a
Paul-
question.
Paul and Meg, I've got a question on the HVAC. We know that the new HVAC system would not be enough to properly power the build out for daycare, adult daycare. And speaking of the adult daycare, I don't know if we put that in the 10-year plan or we're just going to abandon the whole plan. Any thoughts on that?
The
So,
plan can be reassessed on an annual basis, so although it's not in this preliminary one, I didn't mean to cut you off, Paul. Although it's not in the preliminary one, that doesn't mean that we can't incorporate it in subsequent years.
Well, I think it's important that when we do the HVAC, that we have some way to upgrade it if and when, as opposed to just having to start all over again.
yeah, so the way that it was designed as a separate unit that's attached to the facility. And that it did have separate HVAC, because that was another, I thought it was 4,000 square feet. I'm pretty sure. So it had its own system. But I could,
Oh, that's good.
Have the system to the building. It had its own independent system.
That's good.
but I can find out from Glenn what they had proposed there, because there's already when they did the new construction, they had already ran type area for all of the connections on the side of the building. When you walk out the side of the building where the pergola is, it's kind of off to the right or to the left. There's an area where that was going to be connected to the new section of the facility if it was built.
Okay. Meg, you want to continue?
Yeah, sure. The only thing that we didn't really put in was anything for flooring, which if we have a capital budget subcommittee is something that we can look at down the line. But nothing was put in for any flooring replacement because the flooring should last long.
Yeah, I think if we get a facility subcommittee together of some sort, we could list all the assets that are on the 10-year plan and list the warranty, if they're going to good for 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. Then that would help the committee kind of focus on what's coming up in the next year or two. We probably should look 2 years out to start asking for money. Because everyone gets a 10-year plan in the town, but realistically they look at what are you looking for this year? They don't say, hey, next year I got this coming up and this coming up. So I think we can take that approach to where we focus on 24 months at a time. So they're conditioned about what the financial needs are going to be for us. That would be ideal.
All right, any more questions on that?
Who used to do this? Who used to do all this work? The letting of contracts and wasn't that done from town hall?
It is still done from facilities. So I work to pull every single, I worked with facilities and Richie and I also worked together to pull every single SKU to check and reference everything on the 10-year plan and the lifespan. And so everything on there right now is reflective, also with some of the increases for transportation, 2% per year on vehicles. So anything that is on that 10-year plan is reflective of what is for warranties. And that was in collaboration with our facilities department.
Oh, it is, okay. So it doesn't have to come from here and then get reapproval at town hall and then go to.
It can shift year to year, but if you have it on a 10-year plan, even if it doesn't necessarily say the roof doesn't need to be done, but having it planned in advance and approved in advance so that they can anticipate that as a cost incurred down the line, even if it does shift back a year because the need isn't there, it's at least on their radar and they know to expect it, which is what they prefer in working with the liaison.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, there's one issue we did bring up, and that's on one side of the building where the sun shines the most is fading the paint. So we did kind of talk about that issue as well. So there are some things that kind of creep up on us. But as long as we have it on that list, then it's something that we can address.
Anything else on capital? So number 4 is our annual report goals. I had a little bit lengthier of a list, but I worked with Paul a little bit to condense it and make them a bit more measurable. So I'll let you read through those. You can let me know if you have any questions.
So just to give everyone a refresher, the town requires an annual report to be submitted for the publication at town meeting. It's in that big book that you get when you come in if you want it. And all departments submit an annual report. Ours specifically is in there every year, and it explains what we do and what we've done in the past year, and then we set some goals for the upcoming year. So these would be goals for FY26. And this also ties to the state requires in the formula grant that we file an annual report as well. And that will be filed, I would think, within the next month or two.
Yeah, Meg, my first look at that was terrific. I thought you guys did a great job. And I had no idea we did so much good work.
Thanks, Rich.
Can you tell me what restructure staff refers to?
Yeah,
Sure. So in working with Mass Council on Aging, looking at some of the jobs that we have posted and just aligning them to align more with what a traditional senior center looks like. In traditional senior centers, there's typically an outreach role that's dedicated just to outreach and won't overlap with assistant director. So taking that into consideration moving forward and separating those two roles potentially. And then just looking at where else we can, we added Katie in as a receptionist, which is a typical role. And just making sure that we're able to provide the best services and not be duplicative in what we're doing, have everyone cross-trained in 2 areas in case someone's out, and just better refine some of the processes so that we're not making it harder on ourselves.
I think it's a great idea. Like I said in my email to you, separating the assistant director from the outreaches. It's something that has needed to be done, I think.
it was poorly planned in the beginning. I don't know, but we asked an awful lot of that. We really did. And it's 2 hats. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's too hard to do
Yeah.
assistant director work and then be present for the community at all times.
And
To do
out.
them well, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
And I think it's interesting to know too, Meg isn't suggesting we add new staff to do this. It's just find better.
Finding
Who's
better.
doing what in what position. So it's really moving things around.
I think when prior to Meg's arrival, we had 4 full-time people, and we had talked about adding a full-time social worker, and that was a hard ask for the people at the town hall to understand. It was an easy ask for us because we know what the demands are. And so we were pushing for a full-time social worker. I know that we have doing for the money from Social Service League for Trish, and then the town has a tri-town social worker as well, who they felt could help us if we needed to, kind of putting a Band-Aid on things. So once Meg came on board, I did speak with with Megan and Chris Senior about moving ahead with a full-time social worker, because that's really what is needed. What changed was the open position in the assistant director. And once that happened, it gave us the opportunity just to kind of see what is everyone really doing all day. You know we need a full-time social worker, but who's kind of doing it now? And what other areas have strengths and weaknesses that we can kind of smooth out? And Nancy and Diane both put together a plan that I reviewed. When Nancy left, I went over it with Diane extensively, and then when Diane left, I went over it again with Meg. And so the three of them had worked together to understand what the needs are for these seniors in Cohasset. So the final plan that I was helping out with is basically what Meg had sent out in that email, which is the full-time, social worker, and then the assistant director would be doing basically Liza's type of work. And the good news for that is that we all know Liza does a lot of things, and she relies on a lot of support to help her do that, right? So between van drivers, volunteer coordinators, kitchen stuff, there's a lot of moving parts all the time. So it's kind of hard to juggle it in some weeks. But our formula grant is specifically received by us from the state for the sole purpose of supporting those programs. So we've always used the formula grant to augment where our weaknesses are. And right now we have somewhat of a surplus in our formula grant, to the extent that we now have the ability to augment where we think it's best needed. So I anticipate hopefully by June we have 4 full-time employees again. So right now we have 1 vacancy, and in April we'll have a second vacancy. That'll leave 2 full-time people, Richie and Meg. So we're going to have to get some folks in here, get them trained. And in the meantime, we're going to have to augment it with some volunteers or some part-time people to help out if we can't get the level of candidates that we need to fill these positions in a timely manner. So it was hard enough having the vacancy opened for almost 10 months while Chris Senior was making a decision as to what to do. So right now, we don't have that bottleneck of what to do. I believe that Chris Senior and Megan James are the social worker and the assistant director now being redefined. So now it's a matter of posting the jobs and screening the applicants. But think about it, the formula grant money is there to help us with other personnel. So if anyone has any idea or any recommendations, please let Meg know so that we could quickly move forward. I'm afraid of these vacancies being open too long.
So can we post both of those jobs now?
Yep.
Even though, okay.
Yep. So we
And-
can.
And can we require certain requirements for the job?
Mhm.
Like social workers should have an MSW. I would think, if you're gonna pay somebody to do it, not just somebody who would sort of want to do it. So that we could see where the strengths are. So, thank you.
Do you anticipate eventually, when the 4 positions are filled, that Chris's position through the Social Service League will not exist anymore? Or
Nope. So I actually asked, I haven't heard back, but I did ask if the town could cover a portion of Trisha's role, and then the formula grant could cover the other portion of that. So I'm hopeful that would be fair and then can alleviate that off the Social Service League, but I haven't heard on that yet, so. But no intent, we love Trisha, we need
Oh, I know,
Trisha,
and I know
so.
she doesn't want to work full time.
Yeah, and she does a great job running a lot of these support groups
Yeah.
and things, and things that maybe the outreach person wouldn't. So I think it's a benefit to have both.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Mhm. And as we were getting applicants that were coming in the structure of assistant director / outreach, there were great people that, you know, were one or the other, and it was just really hard to find someone that could kind of fill both. And I think it will be easier to define having that structure with each role.
So, you know, now we have a 12-hour, 12-hour week social worker at 60 Elm Street. That's funded for 5 years. And yeah, we were very impressed with the applicants, so we got a particular one we hired did not want to work full time, so it's working out well for us. Plus also helps, I hope helps you guys.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. We can notice the difference for sure, and they've been great to work with. So we're happy. We're happy for that. Any other questions on that?
I know April seems like it might be far away, but it really isn't because time flies. Is there, for Liza's departure, it appears that her role is really integral for day-to-day operations, for helping the seniors outside of the building. So is there an urgency on one position over the other, or I mean, an urgency to make the right decision? Is there an urgency to look for one position over the other?
I think they're being posted at the same time.
Yeah.
And Liza has been tremendous in wanting operations to go well, and that's why she's willing to share, and that's why she has been helping to cross-train even Katie to learn some of the responsibilities that she has. They're working on coats this morning, and she's been sharing with me for some time as well. So we're really trying. Liza does a lot, and she oversees really 3 big service lines, and you may not always know that, but the work that she's doing is so important to the operation. So it definitely aligns with an assistant director. So to answer your question, I don't think that there's necessarily an order. It will be probably the assistant director first. But I guess where they're being posted at the same time, it's uncertain which one, but they're both a priority, and Liz is willing to help train as well.
Well, that's good to hear that other people are being introduced to her workload so that they can be executed because it's a lot to learn, because it's already the middle of February and I feel like it was just December 31st. So, and before you know it, it's April 4th or whatever that date was.
We've got about 7 weeks and it's going to go quick.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of things to consider too, to so many things. One of the things I'd like to bring up a little bit, because it does fit in here, is we have a main PCP, primary care physician, that's retired. And he has helped and he's trying to keep it as best he can, but there are people that are not able to get a PCP right now. And they're elderly people. These people are not youngsters, they're elderly people. Very simple things have kind of fallen through the track. Like I've run into 3 people that are really very, very dependent upon B12 shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to ask a lot before I found out that the town nurse gives B12 shots. And that she will actually go to your house if you're not able to have it. And I think some of those things we did not know here, or the staff did not know.
And these are things that I think we, coming down the road, I had a lady stop me the other day and say, who can take my blood pressure? It was easy for me to say, go to the senior center, they have times, or you can go to the town hall. But then, you know, the town nurse can. So I think it is, that is in being involved now too. That there's a lot of that type of thing. So just as an FYI, there are quite a few people that are involved with this, many more than I thought. And I worked for him for 15 years, so I knew what he had. But a lot of people have stayed well into their 80s, with him. So with him gone, and he is doing a great job of holding on to his license and refilling prescriptions and trying to help people get a primary care physician. But just as an FYI, I think the nurse's capabilities and what the nurse can be should be put out there.
I agree with you, and I also agree with you on the PCP. I'm meeting with Mass General Brigham next week, and my focus is to find local PCPs who are accepting patients and maybe come in and do a seminar where they have an open enrollment panel for those in need and advertise it and sign up that day if people are looking for someone.
Yep.
So I'll have more updates on that. And I also know a geriatric physician in the community, and I know there's contracting around this, so I don't want to dive too deep without, I don't want to speak with certainty, but who might also be willing to come in. But again, I have to get the approval.
There's a lot, and there's a lot that's not out there. There's a
Yep.
lot that's very contained and not out there. And people don't understand that the different physicians have different stands of where they are. And right now, probably most people don't realize that there is one set of physicians that's out there advertising right now. And they're a different type of physician. You pay them cash per year. And their cash is based upon your age, by the way. And it's more as you get older. And then they will take care of you in between. But now that's prepped in. I've noticed there's two physicians right now on the South Shore that are offering that.
Concierge.
Yeah, concierge is what they call it.
I agree with you. So maybe we can get some more information about capabilities of the nurse
Yeah.
out there in our next newsletter. It might be the April one at this point, but
I think that would be
certainly
good.
that's important. And then PCPs, I just in speaking with people have noticed people having trouble with that lately. So that's why I'm meeting with Mass General Brigham.
It's just a little aside. Last week, I had but another bout of diverticulitis, which is not fun to have. Now, I recognized it. So I have a PCP, one who specializes in gerontology. When I called, it came over the weekend, God forbid you should get sick on a weekend.
Yeah, right.
I called Monday, and there was nobody in her, she wasn't there that day. And there was nobody in a practice of 12 physicians, an army of nurse practitioners and all the other wannabe doctors who could see me till the following Thursday. Now, my belly was something. So they sent me to urgent care, who couldn't take care of me because they didn't have the machine. I said, I know what I have. I just need the medication. Well, they sent me over to the waiting room and I waited 7 hours.
Oh, my.
And I'm in terrible pain. And this is because I have a PCP. And it came back. It was what I said it was. The medication that they recommended was exactly what I've been using when I've had it before. The medicine cost $22, and that whole medical situation that happened that I told you, I'll see when it comes in, it's gonna be thousands of dollars. I mean, not to me, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry that you went through that.
Whoa,
But a lot of people are.
of course they are. You hear it all over the place.
Exactly.
So,
I will tell you, South Shore Medical, which is part of South Shore Hospital, they are accepting their, but they will accept you. You can call and say you need a PCP, your PCP's retired, and they'll accept you, and your first appointment is probably next October.
Yeah.
Don't get old, don't get sick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, it's not what it's cracked
Not
up to
fun.
be.
Well, getting old wouldn't be so bad if you didn't get sick.
Yeah, yeah.
So you probably would have been better off in that instance, going just to the emergency department where they have the equipment, although that's a higher cost, but.
But you have to be referred now if you, and they did. And I went to the emergency. I was whisked in, put on one of those little gurneys, I guess. And 7 hours later, they got to see me.
Yeah.
This is what you call an emergency.
Yeah.
So, anyway. There
So
we go.
Maybe we can do,
So we're on number 5 of the director's report.
okay. So, save the dates. I'll let you peek through them. And then next month, Patty Smith will come in and talk a little bit about the community dinner.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions on that? Okay. Number 6, our town planner, Cassandra Thayer and Holly Hill Farm, John from Holly Hill Farm came in last week. We talked about doing a sensory garden and having 2 garden stands right next to the benches by the pergola that are ADA accessible. So if someone were not able to stand, could sit on the bench and water. And then also having along the pathway, maybe 4 planters for that. And Holly Hill Farm would like us to utilize anything that we grow to go back to the food pantry and or our community here, which I thought was a great idea. And we could have it be intergenerational. We could, in terms of who's watering it and schedules, and then maybe to just be a little more sustainable, having a couple of the watering, I'm drawing a blank on the name of this, bins that collects water.
Rain barrels.
Thank you. Rain barrels, if needed as well, especially in droughts. So it shouldn't be, they're willing to do the labor, which is really kind of them. And then it would just be a cost incurred to us, which could be used under the outreach gift fund to get the lumber or the materials associated with it. And additionally, they're willing to do we have a grant through the town that Cassandra had noted to do training and education on planting as they're doing it. So it's not just they're doing this project, they're also willing to do workshops, and these would be free workshops for people in the community. And I also asked them if they'd be willing to potentially do a seedling plant sale at the center, maybe in April or May prior to any builds, as long as everyone's comfortable with this plan. And get the word out on the workshops in the future.
I think it's North River, and I'll be happy to look into it, that does the rain barrels. They'll actually give them to you.
Oh, good.
Oh.
It'd be nice if we can plant bulbs in the fall and then sell Easter lilies for the friends of Elder Affairs, that would be.
Would love that.
Yeah.
While we're talking about plants, please, one of the things that we talked about at one of the Friends meetings, the island that's on Sawyer Street as you enter the parking lot is abysmal. It's full of weed. there's a few recognizable plants. Otherwise, it has always been overgrown for, I don't know, how many years. It does have a Boy Scouts of America sign on it, but I don't remember when it was had any upkeep to it or plantings. I asked the town hall what we would need to do to adopt the island there. And as long as it's maintained, watered, or as long as it's maintained by us, we could use the island. Right now, what's recognizable in there are some yucca plants, which are really self-sustaining plants. They really don't even need much water. And then there is a pine bush at the other end of the island. It's a very long island compared to others. So I'm wondering, and I asked some of the seniors at Cafe, and they would love to see something a little nicer there on the whole. But we decided not to do it because were you in that meeting, Beth?
Yeah,
When we- Yeah,
yeah.
what?
I just
what did
think
we-
it's like, personally, yeah, it's ugly, but either put something that'll just take care of itself. I mean, if you're gonna do a garden out here, that's where the focus should be. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
between the train crossing there
dangerous-
and
dangerous
like,
I was gonna say, it's
gardening.
Nobody pays attention to it. You know, I know other islands in town are probably a little easier to maintain, but I think that one's, you know, maybe we could just put something that will grow there and just take care of itself.
Well, I'm wondering if we could just clean it up,
Yeah.
stick some more yucca or stick some more self-sustaining plants
Yeah.
that don't need help. And just make it look a little more presentable, because right now, just take a look at it on your way out today. And I know it's February and it's not the right time, but I have to say it doesn't look too dissimilar in July.
Has anyone reached out to the scouts to see what?
I was just
No.
gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
I can't, no, I'm involved in merit badge stuff with the scouts. I'm happy to. Did they maintain it at one
Lovely.
point?
Maybe you could ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
if they
find
know
out. I
anything
just
about it.
Yeah,
made
maybe
a
they
note.
could.
Oh, what
just-
about the garden
Maybe
club?
somebody, you know, somebody forgot about it a long time.
Right, exactly. That was somebody who was involved.
Yeah,
And
years
that's
ago,
the
and
kind
is
of
no
project
longer.
that would
Yeah,
be more
I
in
will
their
do
bailiwick,
this.
I think.
I'll talk to the scouts.
That'd be
Okay.
great.
Yeah, it also seems like we have an issue with on our side of the entryway too, where the signs are and stuff, it gets really overgrown. That's be easier for somebody to maintain, but I've been through this with an island in Situate that Special Olympics has been in charge of for 30 years, and it really is an onerous situation, especially as we get older, you know?
Yeah.
And I was very glad the town of Situate took it over last year.
Mm.
Well,
They have a beautification committee, which would be nice to have.
That's nice.
Well, I'm not necessarily advocating that we do it ourselves. We could certainly hire someone, but just to give them direction and purchase yuccas or pines or whatever.
And have the Boy Scouts put them in.
Yeah, right?
That's
true.
Anyway, and we can both put our names on it, but just something to make it look and certainly at the beginning of the parking lot, as you said, Taffy, would be nice if it looked nicer.
Yeah.
Okay, and also Holly Hill Farm is willing to, maybe, I have not talked to Bob yet about it, but, do some trips over there to the farm for transportation in the future, so. Have people maybe after lunch do some 1 to 3 activities, over the warmer months. And then number 7 is South Shore Art Center is coming in tomorrow, to see what potential collaboration we can do together.
Oh,
So they're gonna meet with Patty and I, and they want to maybe showcase some of their work, on a given month, and if anyone else has any thoughts on that, one idea that we do have for the 10-year anniversary is asking people, the school and South Shore Art Center, and if there's other people you can think of, let us know, to do a painting or something of the like of Wilcott Commons and submit it, and then have judges that are artists to pick the best winner and have them displayed that week. So that's something we'll talk to them about tomorrow.
Then you could take.
Yeah, I don't know
A
if,
canvas bag.
Mhm.
you know,
No
over
top-
Father's Day
top-
weekend,
top, Right.
they have the big arts show on the Commons Father's Day weekend. I don't know if, you can talk to them about if there's a way that, seniors can participate in that or have some pieces of art, if we're going to do something with them, that would be able to be purchased, there's a lot of different groups that are there on the Commons, for the big arts festival every year. And, you know, if we get involved with the South Shore Arts Center, perhaps there's a way that we could, present things that we do and, a section for the senior center there is kind of an idea.
Awesome.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea. We have, they have
Like a
things for
table
kids.
there,
Why
you
not
move
things for old people?
Thank you. I'll bring that up tomorrow.
They're gonna visit your class tomorrow? Is your class running tomorrow?
No, we don't have class tomorrow. Phew.
We can take the old stove and make keychains out of it.
Yeah. All right, I will wrap this up. Website traffic and participation is on the last page, the second page. So we had 80.4 thousand views in 2024, which is a lot, with 17,000 new people reached, and that is 32.9% increase from the year prior. And then for the month of January, we had 9,000 views with 2,600 new people reached with 385 new follows, which new follows were up 65.9 from the month prior.
Good.
We provided services for 1,450 people, down a little bit from the month prior. I think some people are traveling in the winter. And 167 people were seen for social work outreach or Shine, up from 165, only 2 people. And then we had 21 new members join last month, up from 18 the month prior.
It's good.
Great.
Excellent.
About the website. So you had talked about trying to find a new way of billing or working the finances. How's that coming?
It's good.
I went on and I was surprised that you couldn't sign up for lunches on there.
I know. Yep, that is being worked on.
Is that worked on?
It is.
Okay.
It's going to be the primary focus for the next
Okay.
month, but yeah, so the lunch cost will go to $5 starting March 1. And then there'll be a starting in March, you don't have to pay when you come into the center, and you'll get a bill in the mail in April. But this will be a learning process.
Okay.
I think it will be okay. And we should probably have another subcommittee meeting in the near future.
So just a reminder that $2 increase for your lunches just turned into $1.20.
What?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
You have to spend how much does it cost to mail do you
I
charge?
see what you're saying, mailing
Yeah.
out the bill, yep.
Yeah, because don't you have to mail out 200 items in order to get a bulk rate?
Correct.
We have about 220 that it'll be per month.
Oh, okay, so then I don't know what the bulk rate is, but it's too bad you have to mail it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I think that in the beginning, just to be consistent with mailing it, and then there might be people who opt into different measures down the line, but I don't want to not mail it to everyone to start. And if people end up opting in for, say, an email delivery at a later date, I think that's okay.
And people, remember, this is a trial. This isn't cast in concrete. If it doesn't work, we can come up with another idea.
I mean, I know at some point in time, as the generations change, there will be, we don't have to be mailing things, but right now we're not there in that way of living.
I
Where
think
we're
most people are
mailing
used to
out.
getting mail as well. People can pay it at the center and have a zero balance, but then at least they have a ledger as well, because a lot of people use it for flex spendings accounts or other things. Just to be fiscally responsible and give people an accurate ledger of what they've done.
Yeah.
Also check on the system itself that it's working properly. It's a second review.
We'll see. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but I'm hopeful it's pretty close. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of feedback along the way, which will be good.
So I'd like to
No
make
one-
a motion to accept the director's report.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
That was easy.
yeah,
I just
Thank you,
want,
Meg.
I just wanted to say, no one seems to mind the $5 for lunch.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's because Joan's here.
It's like everyone, everyone knows food has gone up.
Oh,
Yeah.
go to the grocery store. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I was surprised we had eggs this morning.
funny question.
That's
I
right.
was like, give me one of those eggs.
You're gonna be
quick."
raffling the egg.
Yeah.
I'm watching, there are 9 million different kinds of birds out here.
We should.
Yeah,
What's
does,
that?
you know that, does anybody know anybody that knows a lot about birds?
Yes.
I've been sitting here looking. There's got to be, I've counted 12 different types of birds out
Yeah,
here.
Sally
Pay
Avery.
attention to the meeting, Diane.
I wasn't, I was looking out the window.
Okay, can we get to the subcommittees? You know, the chief told us where we were on the van. I don't know if there's anything new there, chief, that you want to bring up?
Nothing new at this time. We still haven't gotten a delivery date from Ford.
Yep.
So once we get that, I'll bring that back to the board.
Okay. Now, on the pergola, any activity there?
No.
Okay.
Yep,
One of
we
the things-
decided,
one of the
remember
things
with
I
the
was-
pergola, we decided to use the pergola
And
and
see
then
what
go back
happens.
and revisit, right?
Right. But I was thinking that it might be nice, and it's up to everybody, if we were to put together a very nice plaque to put out there with Nancy on it and Diane, where they were very much the stimulators to get this thing rolling. So what do people think about putting a nice plaque out there to honor them?
I think that's a lovely
Yeah, I
idea.
think that's a nice idea.
Okay, well, we'll bring it up again when the weather starts getting better, but I just thought it'd be nice to recognize them.
Good idea.
Okay, are we now set up so that we can, some feedback? I know, Tana, you had something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I got 2 phone calls and then a 3rd phone call telling me about the other 2 phone calls I'd gotten about, I'd like to know exactly what's with there's some confusion about what these cameras on the building or in the building are doing. The first question was, are they inside? Are they outside? Why do we have them? Did we request them? There's some people who are really, really annoyed about it.
Oh, so the cameras have been installed for many years and they're only in the hallways, so you can't see into any room.
Okay,
It's hallways only.
Cameras in that room,
Not that are.
No, those are,
But they're up there.
unrel-
people can see them.
But those are not related to our camera
those are
system.
cable system.
Cable system?
For the selectmen. For doing
Oh, I see.
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing to do
That's
with
not-
us.
That's not something that turns on in this
Not
building.
surveillance.
Nope, the only thing that we can see is hallways.
I see.
So nothing else, not even into the living room,
Mhm.
so.
That was done for protection.
Yep,
That's-
and that's just seeing who comes in and out of the building. So we already have the existing infrastructure, so that's why when Paul was talking earlier, it would be a very low cost incurred to us because we already have that system in place. Richie and I use it more, your favorite word, reactively versus proactively. It's just to identify something like, say there were a lot of chairs that were in this room one evening and we didn't know why. We could go in and see, or I told you a situation about making sure no kids took a Narcan. That's probably not great to say, but things like that. So we're not monitoring them and watching people in any way, shape, or form. It's if something happened, we just want to see. And quite frankly, we have a lot of people who cars get dinged in the parking lot.
exactly.
I can't speak to that. I can't tell you
Yeah.
who did that. I know for me, I shared with you at my kids' school, I will live right next to it. So I'll let the principal know if I see anything odd and she'll go check the camera. So it's pretty routine for us there. But again, it's not to watch people. It's just, if you did get your car hit, I would want to be able to tell you.
The thing came up and which is often happens here in town, is the rumors go crazy, and that's why I wanted to hear. So we've had that system. We voted down a system at town meeting, not this past one, but the one before, about having a bunch of cameras all over town and all this kind of stuff. And so anyway, that was the phone calls. I said I would bring it up, and I have done it, and I will look back to them. Thank you.
I think it's been installed for 4 years or so.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
Capital budget mentioned that there were several folks in town talking about cameras being placed at different facilities, and they were going to look at it
Mhm.
globally to see what the need is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think the big difference in a lot of people's minds, security gets confused with surveillance.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
you have a system that is surrounding a building in strategic areas like the parking lot, whatever. It's really helpful,
Of course it is.
but it's not watching you. Anyway, I think that's the big
Okay,
surveillance.
thank you.
Yeah, certainly not watching anyone. Again, it's more of a reactive.
And those ones in that room, just so everybody knows, they're mounted in there and they're part of Channel 3, the 143 TV. And they allow the selectmen's meetings and other functions there to go live. But they have nothing to do. Nobody's sitting there watching them.
But
Yeah,
when
and I
people
would
see
think it's
cameras, they wonder,
Exactly.
what's going
Well,
on.
those were installed,
By the-
you know, probably when this building was built.
Mhm.
And they're part of the cable system, which
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere.
I actually didn't know what those cameras were, so thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I just wanted to mention also, when you talk about that camera in the parking lot, I'm a big proponent of that, considering we have over $200,000 worth of equipment sitting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
That is not monitored nights and weekends.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have something there. God forbid somebody come in and
Agree.
damage or steal
Yeah.
something. We'd have a record of what was going on.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
The pools had an issue of, we have some jaunty skiers that are skiing down the railing.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
And they hadn't done it last year, but I forgot there's been no snow.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I drove by after the first snow and there was the pile. It was right there.
Oh.
And there they were. So I've put no trespassing signs, but I will tell you honestly, they come by the load and talk about damaging equipment. They probably would think nothing of it if they smashed into the side of one of the,
Yeah.
so I agree with him.
But that was addressed with the capital budget. We did mention to them we had the vans there.
Yeah.
And folks coming in out of facility was the primary issue. So
Okay, if being nothing else, can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Well, that was quick. It was a motion to adjourn.
Didn't even get the sentence out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Diana, I may not be back next month either. The weather's so good down here, I don't know when I'm coming back.
How was your train ride, Rich?
The jury's still out on that. There was no,
Okay.
I had to entertain myself, and that was a little difficult for 16 hours.
Oh, no bar car, huh?
Well, not for me, but no, like I say, the jury's still out, but it saved quite a bit coming down, so. But,
Yes.
but the weather, like I say, is so good here, it's hard to leave.
Rich, give